The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of the Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connecting with Kim here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. I'm your host, Kim Droege, and we're so glad you joined us today because we have another great show coming up with another great guest and a first-timer, which we really love on Connecting with Kim. So before we get started, I would like to ask you to like and follow my Instagram, Facebook, and X account, where you will find all the information about the show, the guest, and of course, my on-air wardrobe that comes from the Spring of Tampa Bay Boutique, located at 4415 West Osborne here in Tampa. The net proceeds from the boutique help support the mission, which is providing safe spaces and empowering services for survivors of domestic violence and their children. And they've been doing a great job for more than 40 years, so I want you to support their mission and shop there because you will find every little gem you can think of there, from household to shoes. Literally. So I also want to mention that you can find the audio of our show on Sun Radio, 96.3 FM, and on your favorite streaming platform, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. We love our partnership with Sun Radio. So let's get started today with the show. I'm so excited about this guest, and because she is has so many titles, I'm going to have to refer to my notes to make sure that I don't screw it up. So my guest in the chair today is Dr. Stepahanie Arthur, and she is Assistant Professor of Instruction at the USF College of Education, Science, STEM, and Generative AI. So I got the whole thing in. Welcome, Stepahanie, to Connecting with Kim.
Thank you so much, Kim, and everyone at TBAE for inviting me. Go Bulls. I'm sure you all caught that game, and we're just going to go further and faster beyond, and just keep watching us. So thanks for having me here today, and I'm excited to talk about and amplify what's happening in the Hillsborough County Public School District in terms of STEM education.
Well, we are so excited too because we know you're a friend of TBAE, and I just recently had the pleasure of meeting you and spending more time with you, and enjoying an event that was very impressive to me. But I'd like to start the show like I always do, and I always like my guests to share as much of their life journey as they feel comfortable with, because you just never know when somebody out there watching and listening has shared something in common with you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to condense that. I've always been a science kid. Grew up just a math kid, nerd, as you know, in the best way possible. Always mucking around out in the creeks, and I grew up in Ohio, so we call them cricks. And
that's right.
In high school, I was involved in the science courses, the engineering competition clubs, and so I actually started as a civil environmental engineer at the West Virginia University, and I was in that program for my first year. And my entire family are engineers. My brothers are engineers. One brother has patents with IBM. Everyone just thought I'd be an engineer, and so did I. And at the time, in 1993, I was working on a project, and those who are 50 and older in engineering may remember a coding language called Fortran 22.
Yes, I worked for IBM.
Oh, okay.
In my previous life.
So that goes way back. But I was writing a program with a group. So I should mention I was one of 3 women in the program at the time, which was fabulous. I really enjoyed and was very comfortable, having always grown up with brothers and really kind of a tomboy. And so it was a group project in Fortran 22, and I may be a little bit of a control freak and may have done most of the work, as I do. And so we got our grade. And the other 2 fellers got a B. I got an A. I got a B. And so I went to my professor, and I really have thought about this over the years. I think he was taking a grandfatherly approach with me, and he was worried, and he had said, honey, this is 1993.
I love when the conversation starts with honey.
And I knew from there it was going to go downhill. And he said, women don't really belong in engineering. You're going to have a hard time. I was 18 at the time, so I got up, walked over to the College of Education, and said, fine, I'll teach math, science, and technology. So almost 30 years later, 30 years of teaching and instructing and all realms of education, coaching, and so forth. I have taught all grades, but my focus was science, math, technology in middle school, some high school, a little bit of elementary school, and I ended up getting my master's degree at Pepperdine University under the guidance of Dr. Margaret Reel, who is the editor of the Paul Graves Handbook of Action Research, so that has really guided my research. Action research is a practitioner-based research for teachers that's allowing us to iteratively collect data in real time to improve our practice as we teach. I highly recommend it, not just for research side of folks, but all practitioners. And then I came back to University of South Florida, go Bulls, and got my PhD in curriculum instruction with an emphasis on science education. So since then, I have taught at both the University of Tampa and the University of South Florida, where I am faculty now at USF. I've taught math methods, I have taught arts integration, I have taught science methods, STEM integration, courses on action research, and as well as a writing intensive course for teacher-learner relationships. Was a little bit out of my science and math field, but it was incredibly valuable, and we had such a great time. So where I am today, I'm obviously at a very research-intensive university. We are a part of the AAU. We're a preeminent university, and so with all of the practitioner clinical-based work that I do, teaching methods courses, supervising, I have a pretty intense and rigorous research load, and so in that capacity, I am focused on STEM or stream education, put a pin in that, and we'll come back to that. And also I serve as a co-PI on a $3 million National Science Foundation Robert Noyce Scholarship grant, and that's under the direct leadership of Dr. Ruth May Sears, who is the Associate Director of our Coalition of Science Literacy and a mathematics professor, and that program is called MYSTIC, and that stands for Mechatronics Integrated into STEM Teaching for Transformative Innovative Communities.
Woo!
That's why we use the acronym.
That's a mouthful.
And through that grant, we are supporting 20 master teaching fellows in middle and high schools in the Hillsborough County Public Schools. And I am talking about our fabulous schools. We have Armwood, Lato, King, Middleton, Chamberlain, Gaither. I could go on and on. We have 3 middle schools. We also include 2 district science resource coaches in that in those 2 cohorts. Thank you again for coming to the awards night.
Well, I was very honored that you invited me, and I was extremely happy that I attended because I had really no idea about this, and so it was an extremely informative night. Event, and to see all of those people, those teachers, rewarded and recognized for the investment that they made. So I really appreciate that. Now let's back up a little bit. So we need to bring this up, to the 30,000 foot level for all those people out there. Why should communities, businesses, and parents whose kids are in the school system, why should they care about STEM and STREAM education?
Absolutely. And I'm going to infuse some of the mechatronics framework of which we have developed for this program into that conversation as well. So in today's rapidly advancing societal and technological environment, K-12 really not only has to prepare students for the content knowledge, but we have to prepare them to be aware of the career opportunities. We have to prepare them to understand what are their options once they graduate from high school, and really focus on the workforce development, to promote a workforce that will stay here in our district instead of leaving.
Right.
And really stay here to work with so many of the industries that have come into the Tampa Bay area that has enhanced our industry, our economy, our manufacturing. We are on the map, not just nationally, but internationally. So I would say that everything I'm saying really goes beyond our district, but I'm very focused on the Hillsborough County Public Schools District, which is the 7th largest school district in the United States. So it is vital right now that parents and industry leaders and educators, admin, of which we have phenomenal leadership in this district with our Superintendent Van Ayers and our school board that understand this, that work with our county commissioners who were there represented the other night, our city council people who also recognize the importance of K-12 education. And we really value the human capital of our children, and so we want to cultivate a space in which they are engaged in real world opportunities to learn about how they too can be involved in STEM. And what I mean by that is we see a lot of times as a middle school teacher, we will see children come in and tell us they can't do science, I can't do math, I can't do STEM. And that saddens me because now that I've shifted more to elementary in the past 6 or so years, and I teach a lot of elementary methods for STEM and science, and I'm out in our elementary schools, I can say this: elementary kids, every single one of them have a superhero cap. They will jump off the table and they really believe they can fly. And something happens with traditional schooling through high stakes testing and the ways that we have to structure, given we have so many students, that students start to lose that confidence. They start to lose the chutzpah. And also I would say we have concerns, we have funding needs in education. And oftentimes the first things to go are the arts. And that has been a struggle because the arts are an avenue for children to be able to express their innovative ideas.
Right.
And innovation is so core to
and
engineering.
And
their imagination. In fact, one of the facets of nature of science is that science is a blend of logic and imagination.
Exactly.
And that's not something you hear very often, but that's everything that is true about science. And it's everything that I teach. So we really value the child. We value the K-12 child, even though most of the work on my grant side is secondary. We're really trying to broaden that pipeline so that every student can see a pathway that they too can be a part of a STEM career. So there's often a myth that to go into a STEM field, they have to go into an expensive 4-year degree program. And that's not true. The trades are steeped in STEM.
Well, let's take a very practical example. Today, like a welding. Let's take something basically like welding, right?
Absolutely.
Now, welding is still used in manufacturing. You are using a computer to help you figure out exactly where that weld has to take place.
That's exactly
and that
right.
weld cannot be 1 centimeter, 1 millimeter, whatever the measurement says. It can't be off. So the computer is there to help you, but you have to be able to relate to what is on the computer. So it's pervasive in every part of our life.
Well, and you bring up an excellent point, especially with the advancement of generative artificial intelligence and computer-aided design. There are fears that jobs are going to be taken by AI, but we also are seeing the creation of very different job opportunities, which is why it is so important to infuse a foundational understanding of generative AI into teaching and learning. And in fact, quick plug, the University of South Florida College of Education, under the direction of our amazing Dean Jennifer Schneider, we are starting a graduate certificate program that is based on generative AI for teaching and learning, and it's for everybody. And I highly recommend parents look into this. You can look this up. It's ai-certification.info. It was created by Dr. Zafer Unal, who is my research partner and dear friend in AI for learning and teaching. So going back to why are we bringing this into the K-12 space? It is going to be so integral for students today to be prepared to gain access to those competitive jobs of not just tomorrow, but already today.
Right.
And
because AI is already here.
AI is here, and we need to be on the forefront of recognizing it, teaching it, and implementing it.
Well, and you and I, we're working on it. Well, if you're just joining me now, and this might be a good time to reintroduce my guest in the chair, is Dr. Stepahanie Arthur, who is the Assistant Professor of Instruction at the USF College of Education in Science, STEM, and Generative AI. Because you and I are working on putting together a program for November at Tampa Tiger Bay, also a part partner of Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network, about AI, because my belief is if you don't understand what AI is today and how it's being used, you will not understand, because it's going to have to be regulated. There's going to have to be legislation. You will not understand what is a good thing and a bad thing if you don't know.
That's right.
What it is.
That's right. Well, and that's where our partnership with Hillsborough County Public Schools in the work with the University College of Education and our National Science Foundation grant is so critical. So I know that Hillsborough, I've actually presented on it. The Hillsborough County Public Schools has already published their implementation guide for AI. We have been working with their technological teams to look at what AI programs are approved for the teachers to use. One of which is teacherserver.com. If you look that up, that was created by the University of South Florida College of Education, Dr. Zafer Unal. It is a tool. It is a program with 1,127 tools for teachers K-20. Educators K-20 to use in within the classroom experience, within research experience. So it's not to go and make this entire conversation about AI, but I think it needs to be acknowledged. But we're framing STEM education and STREAM education, which is the infusion of reading and literacy, that development of scientific literacy, also the building the skills for argumentation and debate within our K-12 spaces, so that we can help to cultivate a next generation of civic-minded folks who are able to implement the complex text that they read to form perspectives and opinions, debate about that, gain new perspective based on novel experiences. That is such a key piece of STEM. Oftentimes STEM is taught or operated in very isolated fields.
Right.
We do science, we do chemistry, we do math. And it's so important that through a framework of engineering design process that we implement into the K-12 space, that we're developing students to realize that they have to not only be able to read complex texts, to make sense of facts and evidence, to generate their understanding based on an analysis of the evidence, but they need to communicate. They need to be able to share their ideas, and they need to be able to gain new perspective and, gosh, maybe even change their opinions based on that information. And so that is really critical to the way I teach STEM.
Well, I don't think, and we can't emphasize enough. You keep saying K through 12, but we can't emphasize that enough, because I was at a presentation of educators recently at the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce, and 3 different individuals coming at it from a different perspective. But one of the things that came out in that discussion is that from K to 3rd grade, you're learning to read, right?
You are.
But from 3rd grade on, you're reading to learn. So if you have not mastered reading
Right.
by 3rd grade, everything that comes beyond that is going to be affected.
Absolutely. Reading and literacy is core to learning, whatever subject field you are referencing. That ability to make sense of text and
Right.
the ability to communicate. And unfortunately, we do have situations where students aren't provided with the adequate resources that they need. It could be home situations. We have such a variety. It could be school situations, and so we do need to do some remedial work for reading and literacy at the upper grades, which is another excellent reason to continuously emphasize the reading and literacy within STEM. The other additional letter of the acronym that's near and dear to my heart is the integration of arts, and that is the natural creative mind of the child. And it breaks my heart to see in middle school when students go from having these amazing, zany, wacky ideas, and they're so proud of them, into the middle school space where it becomes something, oh, I'm different, therefore I shouldn't, and I'm embarrassed about that. And that's a different podcast for a different time, but social media does play into that.
Different subject, but equally important.
But equally important. So what is my point? By emphasizing the arts integration in STREAM at all grades and the upper grades, we bring that opportunity for students to express their creative, innovative ideas through an engineering design process approach. And so with the work that we're doing at the University of South Florida's College of Education, supported by in partnership with the College of Arts and Sciences, and the College of Engineering, and the new Bellini College of Artificial Intelligence, Cybersecurity, and Computing. That's a really long term.
I told you the first time I said, because you and I are going to do that program, and we're featuring people from the Bellini, and I said to you, my God, you have to come up with an acronym.
We need an acronym.
Because that once you get past Bellini College, AI, and cyber, it's like,
but I've got it.
You've got it down, girl. I'm very impressed.
And but what is so special about what we're doing at University of South Florida is that even our colleges are not isolated. We're integrated, we're transdisciplinary, we're interdisciplinary, we're working together because we recognize that we want to absolutely prepare the next generation of leaders in our communities and our societies to be able to integrate all of the facets of what's happening in the world as it's rapidly advancing and changing.
Well, we're Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network, and so arts is in our name. So we believe strongly in the arts, and I believe strongly in the arts because arts is in many ways is a opportunity for individuals to, especially children, to express something they can't express any other way.
That's right.
And also, you cannot. If you are not stimulating the imagination, then you cannot imagine creating Star Trek, for instance.
Absolutely.
You cannot imagine creating any of these other things. I was so thrilled when I toured the new high school in Waimama for the grand opening. Yeah. I mean, they have a gaming lab.
Yes, and
it's right there front and center.
We all should.
Yeah, for kids that for individuals that want to pursue that as a career.
Right. But if they're not if kids are not exposed to these spaces, they never know.
No.
And that is so much, not to simplify it as, throw everything at the fan and see what sticks, but there is a little bit of truth in that philosophy, is that through exposure comes the seedlings of ideas and innovation and inspiration. And so to bring it back to why we're infusing the mechatronics approach, and we have been presenting at multiple conferences already all over the United States, and it's very novel. And so people say, what is mechatronics? And mechatronics traditionally is the fusion of electrical engineering, computer sciences, mechanical engineering through a systems design approach that is very connected to the careers of today and tomorrow. And so when we put together this particular grant, in which our fabulous master teaching fellows, 20 of them in our high schools and middle schools, are bringing this to their schools through a leadership position, we recognize and acknowledge that we need to expand and amplify STEM so that more students realize there is a path for them. And while we would love for them to come to the University of South Florida, because we do have the top programs in the nation for all fields of STEM, but there are other routes through the trades. And so some of our partnerships with our grant work, speaking of the importance of partnerships, is we work with the Florida High Tech Corridor. CEO Paul Sol has been instrumental in this work. We work with the Port Tampa Bay. Jose de Jesus, who is the Director of Engineering, and Cheryl Lynn Reese work with us and has worked with me for years. And we charter, and I'm so grateful to the Tampa Water Taxi. We take our pre-service teachers, in-service teachers, and students out to the port. And all you have to do is spend a half an hour at the port. And there are so many STEM careers right there.
Oh my God, I spent a half a day touring the port for Leadership Brandon. I was blown away.
Yeah. That's all right. It's all right here. We're the most cargo diverse port in the southeast region of the United States. Over 50% of our oil and gas in the state go through this port. So my plug to them is they need to amplify that, and they have said to me, great, get us into the school. So we have a great relationship. We also work with Tony Salvaggio, the CEO of eSmart Recycling, to talk about the sustainability of technology. AI and these generators are incredibly intensively using our natural resources, and
energy.
that's something that we have to have an honest conversation about. And so he has been instrumental in supporting our teachers to implement eSmart types of recycling programs in our schools. And we also work with AMROC Fab Lab. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Look it up. AMROC, it comes right up, Fab Lab. They are a advanced manufacturing robotics center for students starting in elementary. and they're
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Because
Elementary.
when they've got this in their hand or a tablet or whatever, they're already in that world.
That's right. That's right. And through these partnerships, and the other one I'll mention is also one of our co-PIs is Brandy Jackson, the CEO of a learning management system called Scoutlier, SCOUTLIER. She is also my research bestie. We do a lot in community partnerships in STEM education. She's MIT trained, and so we're looking at really amplifying and broadening the opportunities for a STEM career for all of our students, representing all learning profiles and backgrounds. And I think, and the lovely thing is, and I'll just say this, the work we're doing is apolitical, it is non-political, it is supported by all sides. It is just the fusion of humans wanting to boost the next generation of humans to amplify the excellence of this country.
Well, we're running out of time, so I think this is a good moment we talked about this before we went on air. I know that you would like to make, you have about a minute or less to make look in your camera and make a pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you did mention that. And
I did, and you can take it away.
That was not 25 minutes, but
it
it
was
like 2
darling.
minutes.
I'm looking at the clock.
Okay. Look, support STEM and STREAM education, support our teachers in STEM, support our students. We are also, I did not mention this, we are one of 13 groups in the nation that were selected in a highly competitive group by the Smithsonian Science Education Institute. A team of our teachers and I were invited and paid to go to Washington, D.C. to work on a logic model to create a program for recruiting of future STEM teachers in our district. The program is currently in place in its phase 1. We need funding. We need money. So there's 2 phases. I'm happy to share it out. Please contact me. Phase 1 does not need a lot of funding. So if anyone out there is looking to put their business or their name on a way that they are amplifying excellence in STEM education in Hillsborough County Public Schools by recruiting from our very own high school students, often who do not realize a career in STEM teaching is available to them.
Nope.
We need your help.
We're gonna have to leave it there because we're running out of time. But you know, Stephanie, this topic's so big we could I mean, we could literally spend hours on it. So we will have another opportunity to have these discussions in the future. So if you're just joining me now on Connecting with Kim here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network, my guest in the chair has been Dr. Stepahanie Arthur, who is the Assistant Professor of Instruction at the USF College of Education, Science, STEM, and Generative AI. So I want to thank her for being my guest today. Please support STEM and STREAM education. I want to thank my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, for providing my on-air wardrobe. Their net proceeds from the boutique at 4415 West Osborne help support their mission of safe spaces and empowering services for survivors of domestic violence and their children. And I would really appreciate, and they would appreciate your support. So again, thank you for joining us today on Connecting with Kim here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. Come back next week for another episode. Thank you. So long.